What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work To Game, and today's video is brought to you by Bestorx. Bestorx, actually, their link is in the description below, and they sent us something to try. It is actually something for our Nintendo Switch, and it's a case with a battery in it. Let's talk about it. Now what this is they sent it to us in production packaging, so it didn't come in any fancy box or anything, but I assume it will. And basically, in the bottom of your Switch, you plug a MagSafe adapter in. Let me see if I can just pull this one out. I don't have fingernails or anything, and there it went, but they sent me two, so I will grab this second one here. And so basically, it just slides in. It actually snaps in. Did you hear that? It's kind of quiet, but it has a nice little snap to it. And what that does is inside this case, there is a receiver that receives a MagSafe thing. MagSafe is not a new technology. My old Mac laptops used to charge with it, so it literally just sits in there. And then when you want to unplug it, and that allows it to charge. And so that is what this does. And the first thing I want to talk about is the quality. The quality of just the zipper and the case. It is actually stiffer. It is a stiffer foam and is a more rigid product than the case I've been using, which came with my Zelda Collector's Edition, which is just a rigid kind of plastic. It does hold less games. They have it coming with a case that holds only 4 instead of the 12 that comes in this case, but it has room for my charge. Now it's a similar thickness, right, to most of the cases that are out there, but where it gets bigger is right here. So you can see that you've got an extra inch out on this side, and what that is that inch is basically entirely taken up by kind of this whole battery mess and all of this. And so I think the first thing you guys are talking about is, well, how does it do for storage, right? So one of the things with the case is it's there to protect. I think it's going to do a great job protecting. For storage, it's not going to fit my Pro Controller. If you travel with just earbuds, it's going to go with those just fine. But if you travel with something like a bigger headphone, you're going to want something for those individually. And then it doesn't store that many games, but I think we're moving in a direction where most of this console's history is going to be digital. So I don't see that being a problem long term. It's just something to be aware of when you get it. And then it comes with the ability, they come with this little case that stores 4, and then the console can obviously hold 1. You could find more things like this, and you could layer these up here, but keep in mind, this is all the storage space you're going to get. So it's really something that may augment, it would slide into a backpack with another package that had all of your accessories, things like your Pro Controller and all of that. But one of the bigger issues is I'm going on a trip this September. I'm traveling for 2 weeks, and we've got an 8-hour flight. We've got drives. We've got some times on a train, and this case may hold more games. It may hold more accessories. But it doesn't help me with the fact that once this thing dies, all I'm doing is carrying it. And so this thing actually allows you to even play while it's charging. So it's got this neat little flap here that normally sits over, right? But it can actually kind of reverse and come in and act as a little display stand. I'm sure you've seen things like it. And so then it can actually sit in here at the same time as it's playing. Now, yes, it does get hot. It does. This is already a console that gets hot, so anytime you take away airflow by putting it in a case, that's going to get hot. That is a valid concern. So what impressed me most is that this solved a need I didn't know I had. I was just planning on kind of dealing with it once I got there. It wasn't something that I knew there was a solution to, definitely not so elegant of one. And then you have to ask, well, what do they want for something like this? I mean, this has got to be $100, $200. Well, a dock is already like 80 bucks, and it's got that flimsy little C shape, and so if stuff pushes on it, it might break it. So traveling with a dock is very nerve-wracking. Putting the cable in and out, that's how cables kind of break, and if you ever damage this piece down here, that's it. Your Switch is just dead in the water. If you damage that little USB-C port, you're done. So you do kind of want to be careful. And with a laptop, it's sitting in the side if it's a USB-C charged laptop. But with this, you're moving around, you're pushing on it, your hands are here. So it is a little more nerve-wracking. So the MagSafe makes me feel a little safer. And price point-wise, this is going to come in like a cheap case plus a dock. That's where it's going to come in, that kind of $90 price point. Once again, link is in the description down below to Bestorx's site. They definitely have a fair price on what this is. This case, I assume, would go for a lot more than just $20. So by the time you add on the price of a dock, I think you're coming out ahead here if you were already in the market to buy a case and a dock. Otherwise, it might feel steep. 90 bucks is not cheap. So I would definitely keep an eye on them going throughout the season, see if that price changes as it goes, up or down. If there's ever revisions to this product, that was the price at the time of this review. We'll just have to see where that lands. Now, what would I change? Okay, I did tell them if we really don't like it, I'm just going to send it back. I don't want to do a review. I don't want it. I don't. Thank you for the kind offer. But I actually did like it. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. Heat definitely concerns me. I don't know how they could change this design to do it, but it's definitely something that concerns me. The ability to take the battery out, either for certain countries' airport security, or just that when this battery ultimately goes dead, that this thing doesn't just become an oversized case, and I don't have to buy a new one. It'd be nice to, even if I had to buy it through them, be able to pay 20 or 40 bucks or whatever and just unscrew this piece and put a new battery in. That would be really nice. But that's not something that this design at least incorporates any way I can tell. So I have some concern there, and that's not from a warranty standpoint. That's just I plan on using this a lot, and so that's what happens to batteries when they get used a lot. I do wish the viewing angle could be adjusted more, so I wish maybe this piece was a little more like elastic and it had a series of slots down here that it could kind of slide into, because for single player experience it's actually quite a nice viewing angle when you're looking down on it. So imagine you're sitting at like your tray table, right? But when you start to talk about like Smash Brothers coming out and you want to play with multiple people, it'd be nice to have it further out. Now, of course, there is the stand on the back of the Switch, and that's great, but what if I want it to be charging? So right now I'd have to be kind of propping this thing up and hoping it doesn't slide. So maybe there could be something back here that does that for me, or that piece could be adjusted. Once again, I am impressed with the quality. I wish that I could choose more colors. I like red and black, but I know not everybody does, and I know that if you talk about a family getting more than one of these, it'd be nice to be able to tell them apart. So that brings us to the final part. Is it worth getting? We do buy, rent, skip when we talk about games here. We do the same thing for tech reviews and things like that. So who should buy it? Who should rent it? Who should skip it? I actually feel that this kind of gets split across all three categories. Because of its quality, it's definitely in the buy category for anybody who travels a lot, especially that has disposable income. If you've been looking at a chance of maybe traveling with your Switch more, getting a better case for it, you're in airports, you're tired of it dying, this is an incredible option, especially if you play with it more in this form than you do on the TV. This is definitely something that I would look at getting. Now, rent is for basically the exact same people, but you're still not ready to pull the trigger on that price point. And so I would say if you have a chance to borrow this from a friend before you make the purchase, something like this, or you have a chance to ask for it as a gift, or if they ever hit the pre-owned market, but I don't expect them to hit the pre-owned market. I don't expect things like this unless somebody's selling their whole system, and I just don't see that happening. Now, who should skip it? Anybody who never leaves the home with their Switch does not need to be looking at case technology. It can sit on your dock just fine. It really doesn't need to be anything fancy. If you want to be able to put it away in a drawer, then just whatever the cheapest version of this is, not even the fancy Ocarina of Time one, there are cheap case makers out there that will help it just stay compact and in a drawer. It's not going to be taking impact or anything like that. It's always going to be near electricity. So I would definitely skip it if I was never leaving my house with this. It was sitting on the dock unless somebody watched the TV, and then it literally made its way all the way to the couch, no further. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's definitely something worth taking a look at. So I'd click over on that site over there and definitely see if it's something that interests you guys. Once again, thanks to Bestorx for sending this to try it. If it's something that they end up wanting back from us, I can tell you right now, this is something I'll be looking at purchasing. This is something that I absolutely think is going to improve the quality that I already have from the Switch, which has blown Brian and I away as a console. Its continued support for incredible games, it has just turned out to be the best purchase out of all three of my major consoles. I'm getting more use out of this than I am out of my Xbox, which is a wonderful console, and definitely more use than I am out of my PlayStation, which at this point in its life, because of where my friends play, has mostly become a machine that I only play Final Fantasy on. And so I really appreciate it, Bestorx. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let me know if you have any questions about it below. I'd be happy to answer those. As far as like how long does it take to charge, how does the battery work and stuff, I do want to wait a couple more months and really get a feel for it, to see how it ages and to see just kind of like, well, what does it work like on my trip? Using it in my home and stuff to test it has been great, but getting to use it the first couple weeks of September is definitely something that if you guys have questions and stuff, I'll do my best to answer them now, and if that changes, I'll come back and answer your questions with more accurate information down the line. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. This has been Chris with Work to Game, and I will talk to you guys next time. We really appreciate you watching. We really, really, really do. Really appreciate you watching. We really, really do. A 30-second end screen is so long. I don't know how to fill all this time.